and welcome back to A Personal Code of Conduct. I'm Dayo, and this week we'll be talking about where the line is. I think a lot of times we do a lot of things and we don't define our boundaries. We don't define where what is the limit, what is the problem, where is the line that we won't cross. So the basic method of discussion is that I'm going to be looking at different topics. See me trying to sound mature. I'm going to be looking at different topics, and then I'll look at how optimistic nihilism views this topic. I'll look at how stoicism views this topic, and I'll look at how my interpretation of Ubuntu views this topic. Then I'll explain my own line. I'll say my own line. So it's like I wrote throughout the course of the week, I kept on writing random stuff and trying to keep it so I can remember all. So topics that plague me, and I'm like, where is the line? And sometimes there is no line, which is a disturbing thing. But we'll get back to that. So that's the intro. That's the beginning. Today, where is the line? So I'm going to start with a simple topic like beauty. Okay, beauty is not simple. It's probably going to be something that I'll cover at very different points. I understand that, because there's one thing I want to start with. Everybody keeps saying that we live in nobody is truly ugly, nobody is whatever. But let's be honest, I explained before in my last talk about beauty. Beauty is a set of standards that society has created in reaction to whatever we have collectively experienced. So we've decided to agree on it as a standard of beauty. Now, and I tried to, if it was in my last 40 minutes, and I tried to encourage the idea of us having individual standards of beauty. Because in the end, somebody is going to be ugly to you, somebody is going to look hideous to you, and you're going to have to accept that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but the beholder's eye is designed by society. So the main topic, how it relates to this line, is where is the line between uplifting somebody and humiliating another? In the previous time, I was like, beautiful girls suffer. I do not consider myself a beautiful girl by any standard of society, but I am striving towards health. That is my main standard, health. In anything I do, health is my line for beauty. But that's not the point. The point is when you're having a conversation with people, and let's say somebody's feeling bad about her appearance or feeling bad about what she's going through, where she's trying to be, what she's trying to do, and the first thing you do is compare to her. For example, somebody, I'm going to use a lot of random stuff I saw on Instagram for reference. Somebody, one lady was talking about posing and how beautiful posing makes the body look, and she was how when she bends over she has a tiger, but when she's standing straight. And somebody tried to make the point that I prefer this your natural looking body. All the people with bent hips and thigh gaps, they're abnormal and creepy. And I'm why? That was uncalled for. Just because somebody fits everything you hope and dream of. Because as much as we try to say that beauty is useless, beauty is this, we still want to be part of it. So there's no reason to antagonize somebody who fits that. If you are going to antagonize a beautiful person, antagonize him or her because they are a horrible person who manipulates people because of beauty or whatever. Do not antagonize them just because they are beautiful. They didn't ask. Even if they did ask, even if they made their beauty by by surgery, by intense skincare, or by intense skin damage, it depends. Especially in societies where the beauty standard is something that you will have to damage your skin to achieve. I will not try and make that person feel ashamed or feel horrible because of the choices they made. They made those choices, either they were pressured by society or it makes them genuinely happy to look that way. There's no reason to drag somebody down when you're trying to uplift somebody let's be honest with yourself, to be honest, they don't fit that standard. They don't even have 70% of the qualities. Everybody that calls themselves average or okay, you're okay, at least I have 50% of what is in the long list of beauty standards. So let's say if you're trying to comfort somebody in the 10%, you don't do that by saying somebody who is 150% beautiful. Let's say like you need 70% of that list to be beautiful, and that person has like complete assets in the list, or your own idea of beauty. Oh god, Dia's thoughts are all over the place. But the key thing is, you don't like, where is the line between uplifting and comparison? Like, do you have to compare in order to uplift? Do you have to push down for somebody to be pulled up? That's the one thing. So like, my concept of beauty, let's look at beauty in like 3 philosophies, at least my interpretation of the philosophies. Like, obviously with optimistic nihilism, the only things that matter are the things you determine matter to you. And again, I think a lot of people have this twisted with the idea that, okay, since the only thing that, what if somebody comes and stab your neck or whatever? You've already decided that in the end, life is meaningless, and the only things that matter are the things that you choose for them to matter. So if somebody decides to stab your neck, like, whether or not they stabbed your neck or they didn't stab your neck, you were going to die anyway. So that's like my take on answering that. But you decide whether, like, that's the thing that I want to go on and continue to look at, is that you decide what is important. You decide if the beauty standard is important. And I think this is where it ties into stoicism. Stoicism is about control, but it doesn't have the whole caveat. Is what use of caveat? Let's just say it doesn't have the whole like side note that everything is meaningless anyway. Focus on what is important. Like, stoicism doesn't say that things are meaningless, rather it focuses on control the things that you can control. So I think this is a middle point where they can meet. A lot of people, for example, your face structure was not something you could control in the olden days, but like in a time, if you live in a first world country and there's there is plastic surgery or whatever, your face structure is slowly becoming something you can control, especially if you have access to experienced doctors. Now it's a question of, are you going to do it? Does this matter to you? So like, stoicism cannot answer this question because a lot of things are now within our control. For example, in my society, I'm pretty sure I cannot afford plastic surgery, and I don't think, but like, if I were to just use stoicism to answer my question about beauty as well, what can you control about your appearance? In things like, I can control my weight, I can control my eating, I can try as best as possible to control my skin, but I cannot control my face structure. And if my face structure doesn't match the beauty standard, then should I now kill myself? That should be your moderation line. And also, you should never do things that will harm yourself. So anything that, in order to meet the beauty standard, is unhealthy to your body, like for example bleaching or whatever, you should never do that, because that is not what a stoic would do. A stoic should have a good head on their shoulders to understand that yes, you should not like go down, you should not abandon all standards because you do not. You should choose, like with everything in life, as much as people are saying that, well, we totally do not, people pick and choose. You should choose what standards you want to follow and how you're going to follow it by having one thick limiter, which in my opinion is health. Like, never do anything in the pursuit of beauty that will compromise your health. That should be, in my opinion, should be the line. I think I mixed up this whole thing. I went like line for comparing for beauty and whatever. But this is like, this like whole point comprises of 2 things: beauty standards and making people who do not fit those standards feel better. Like, I saw this, there's this YouTuber I listened to, Teen Noah. She was repeating the stuff she saw on TikTok. She gave credit and stuff. She was like, it was this girl with green hair, this Caucasian girl with green hair. She was like, we can't lie to ourselves that everybody's beautiful, even though you're not beautiful. Like, because beauty, as I said before, is a set of standards that society has created because of our shared experience. It's beauty standards are like an unconscious agreement that we all have. The person who first decides to push it, which a problem in our society is that people pushing beauty standards are corporations that stand to profit, so they want to make it near impossible to achieve. But like whoever pushed the beauty standard in this scenario is not important. It's just something we have unconsciously agreed upon as a society. And it's the things that you can't just vocally say that this is not my beauty standard, whatever, but then you feel bad when you see somebody who matches the beauty standard. Then you're not telling the truth. Then it is not your beauty standard. You have to like, this is also something that I have implemented in myself, because I'm trying to get into skincare and like take care of better of my skin. So my thing is hyperpigmentation, and there are some ingredients that I don't agree with because I feel is associated with unhealthy bleaching, like unhealthy skin treatments and what have you. So even though I know that this will get me faster results, then according to like standard scientific like review, you're supposed to use for a short period of time, and that is the end, and cover yourself with sunscreen. I'm so mentally blocked from the idea that it associates me with women who use this for the long term. As I buy these ingredients, Kasia would think of me as one of those women. Do you get? So my biggest problem is not the beauty standard, is the horror of being associated with such. And that is also something that I personally have to look into, but that is not for today's conversation. So where is the line? The line is creating your own standards and understanding why every single piece is there. Like, and to be honest with yourself. Like, this is something, because this is basically like Dayo's word diary. To be honest with yourself. Societies, you have like, maybe you should sit down and write down the beauty standards of your society, or maybe like do a random survey, like I don't know, maybe a beauty standards of you, and look at your own personal beauty standards. Like, there's somebody that I look at and I was like, oh, this person would look good on a Nigerian Instagram, but she was not my beauty standard. To be honest, my beauty standard runs very skinny. I will never be very skinny because my shoulders are fucking broad. Like, at this stage, you could touch my bones. You could touch my fucking shoulder bones. But I'm never going to have that tiny skeleton skinny. It's just not my body type. And that's something that I've accepted as something I cannot control. If I was born in like 2200 or 2200, in the year 2200, and you could change your entire skeleton, might be something that I might have to sit down and philosophize and like create another standard over as to why I shouldn't do it. And for me personally, lighter skin has never been a standard. The most devastatingly beautiful woman I've ever seen, I'm saying beautiful woman, we're 12, the most devastatingly beautiful girl I've ever seen was as dark as night. So, and my mother is darker skin. A lot of women like in my life are darker skin, and they are proponents of health. So skin color has never been a factor. It's never something. That's why my biggest fear with like getting into skincare, especially when I'm trying to deal with hyperpigmentation rather than deal with, is the horror of being associated with people who are obsessed with lighter skin. Do you get? Because like some of the ingredients that you're supposed to use for short term to get rid of hyperpigmentation are used long term by women who want whitening. And so my own big qualms. So I'd rather, like, before I get over that mental block, I'd rather use ingredients that will eventually work, but it will take a much longer time and you can't use it for the rest of your life. But that's like a conversation for another time. I'm running long on one topic and I have like 10 topics. This started with the whole, you don't uplift an ugly girl by shaming a beautiful one. The beautiful girl did not ask, and even if she did ask to be part of those standards, she wasn't the one that created those standards. We collectively created those standards. We all subconsciously agreed that this is the standard. So I need everyone and myself to have individual standards. My standards of beauty, I think I have 6 standards of beauty, or 10. No, even 10. But like the ones that I use in my day-to-day life are like 4. I have a standard that I want to uphold myself to. And that is a standard that is centered around the health of my body. I'd like to be skinnier, but I do more weightlifting because I know that if I have more muscle, I will live a healthier, more fulfilling life all over. I enjoy the fact that I can walk long distance and feel no pain. I can climb upstairs. Like, what pushed me to exercise? I've always liked skinnier bodies, but what pushed me to exercise was the fact that I was walking up some steps and I was like, I can't breathe, and my entire, like, my eyes when I opened the door was like on my few Palasa medals from Unilag, and I was like, this is not Dayo that could run track at a moment's notice, even though she never exercised. So like that's what pushed me. That was like the final push to workouts. Even though like it wasn't like, because I've always admired skinnier bodies, but that didn't push me to exercise. That didn't push me to. It was the strength aspect. So I focused on that to ensure I have healthy, natural strength that will keep me till old age. That is my standard for my body. That is my personal standard. That is the line that I want to cross. So then, because in the end I'm going to judge, because some people have beautiful skeleton shapes. Jesus Christ, there are some beautiful skeletons in this world. Like I'm a big fan of people with small skeletons, of which I'm not one. Then like tiny ribs and like wide hips and like skinny thighs. Like I'm a big, but then again, a lot of these girls, when I have conversations with them, they are like, they have more. A lot of them don't, because they haven't properly defined their own standards. This is my standard for myself: a healthy body. That is my standard, and I think that should be everybody's standard for themselves. A healthy body. My standard for other people, I think, like an eye-catching body I just described with skeleton. But a lot of these girls don't feel like their body is amazing or eye-catching or what have you, because beauty standard is like bigger booty, bigger breasts. I have never been a fan of breasts. Like, no, I'm so glad I'm flat-chested. I think that's something like that is a standard of mine for other people, like that. Like it is my standard for other people. Like I look, that is the epitome of what a stunning person I'll turn and mind my own goddamn business. Because it's when you don't, like, it's when you spread out your opinion and it forces somebody to feel anyhow, that's when it's a problem. But like my standard for other women is like small bones, like the kind of women that make me turn back and like, oh my god. But like, because my standard for myself is health, it no longer makes me think I wish I looked like that. It just makes me think, damn, she's beautiful. Do you get? Then my standard for men, pop shoulders. That's basically my beauty standard for men. But in the end, in relationships, I see myself having more emotional emotional connections, and a lot of people have been emotionally connected to don't match my beauty standards. Like, we can't lie to ourselves that we think some people are ugly. We can't lie to ourselves that we think some bodies are ugly, but that doesn't make them any less valid. They are not stupid because they are fat. They are not stupid because they are very skinny. They are not ugly because they are very skinny. They're not ugly because they are dark. They are like, it's like, how do I put it? I don't want anybody to think of this as a cop-out. They are valid. They're a person. Just because you are not attracted to them, you do not think of them as a beautiful painting. They do not fit the standards of your own society. But if you have grown enough to have a personal beauty standard, I think if you have a personal beauty standard, you are going to accept the fact that, because a lot of people will not meet your personal beauty standard, they are going to accept the fact that this person is valid. This doesn't make this person any less than a person. This doesn't belittle their hopes and dreams and their opinions because their face does not match your ideal beauty. And I think the idea, or the way societies try to join together and have like a standard, and I think every time I mention society, I think I'm properly explaining Ubuntu in my interpretation is part of that I am me because you are you. But that should not, our shared experience should not take away from our individuality. I think that's something I'm trying to embody in my own life. Do you get? Like, I like being part of a society, but being part of a society should not blind my individual side. So that is my take on uplifting one girl. I'm trying to uplift an ugly girl by shaming a beautiful one. So, end of story about that one. I can't believe this went to 18 minutes. This is something I want to talk about, and I think it will be short because I don't know. This is something that pertains to men, and I know very little about men. It's about, where does the simping line begin? Like, when does it become simping? And I think this is rather simple. When does a good person, I don't want to use nice guy because nice guy has been co-opted by the trashy entitled incels. So like, when does a good person, somebody who is exhibiting the what's the word, the properties of a good person, become a simp? And I was like, simps are generally nice guys, because a lot of people who make these actions, but then again, okay, this is me jumping up and down with my thoughts. There's like 3 different guys: genuinely good person, nice guy, and simps. A simp could actually be a genuinely good person, and he could also be a nice guy. And but he's going to be a genuinely good person without self-respect. Like, now this is where like I'm going to call this simp A and simp B. Simp A, who is a nice guy, for those who don't know, a nice guy is somebody who is supposedly a gentleman, who does nice things for women, and complains that, oh, women only want the bad boys, that women only do this, that women, that look at me, I'm all kind to them, and I don't have a woman who is in love with me. But like, a lot of nice guys are very sexist, in the sense that they don't see a woman as somebody with complete and total thoughts. Do you get? They see a woman as something to achieve, as something like as a machine. You just put niceness coins in, and they're obligated to sleep with you. Like if you save that from a rapist, now she has to sleep with you. Like, what makes you different from the rapist? Like, that thing used to annoy me when I see it in like novels or manga. Men are weird. Or if you what's the word? Or if you helped her carry her furniture, now she has to be your girlfriend, and rubbish and nonsense like that. Oh, loosh. Okay, this is now me being sexist. Sorry to all the dudes out there. That was pretty sexist and out of line. But like, you need to realize that now that is what a nice guy is. Now a simp is somebody, in my opinion, my definition of a simp is somebody who does, how do I put it? Somebody who doesn't respect themselves. That is the one thing. Like, respect themselves, not like in the respect yourself, Mr. Man, the kind of way. Like, respect yourself in the, you let people treat you like a doormat, then you complain about it. Like, and this is something a lot of us need to learn. To be like, and I need to learn it sometimes, because sometimes you do stupid shit to impress people. Like, simply for somebody doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, but like in the case of men, it is often romantic. In the case of women too, it's also in the case of people. But like, that's when it's actively defined as simping. But I realized that simping doesn't have to be romantic. It's when you do something, like, to be honest, it's irresponsible, dangerous to your health, dangerous to your mental state, because you want somebody to like you. It doesn't have to be romantic affection you want from them, just an affection, or just to think that we want them to think that you matter, or that kind of vibe. So it's like, I think that's what like simping is. Then a genuinely good person is just a good person. Like, you, like, a lot of us are like, how can you be truly good when almost all of us expect something in return? But like, even people that are like it's not possible. There's some, like, you would have done something good and you didn't expect anything in return. You just did something good because you wanted this person to be happy. You wanted this person to move forward, to have joy in their life, and and what have you. But let me continue what I was saying. So, this is where I get lost all the time, and still hasn't learned to edit because I'm still stuck in my routine. But like, office is closing on Thursday. COVID is probably spiking, so maybe office will close earlier. But like, office is closing on Thursday. Dio is going to sort her life out, I think, because I'm like, oh my god, time is ticking. Where was I? We're talking about simps. And we've defined the 3 characters. A nice guy can be a simp, because simping behaviors can be part of the list of nice things, the things he has to do to get the affection of his interest or his whatever. Then he now what's the word? He now like the fallout is usually bad when he doesn't get what he wants. Like, it's usually horrible and terrible when he doesn't get what he wants. But for a good guy is like, a good guy that simps is somebody who hasn't learned to respect themselves. And that a truly good guy that simps might become a nice guy or become a hateful incel, because this is, to be honest, is a two-way fault. Like, people need to understand that faults can be two, especially if they are a victim. Like, a good guy, even if he's someone who is a doormat, if he's in presence of somebody who's not actively trying to manipulate him, will probably eventually in his future figure out how to like improve himself, not be a doormat for everybody. But it won't break down because the people around him are not actively trying to manipulate him, even though he finds himself, even though his own personal personality, his own personality is like being very doormat. Like, he won't break down. But like, if he's unfortunate to find himself being purposely manipulated by somebody, whether male or female, somebody he wants their attention, somebody she wants their attention. Don't let me like, because a lot of women, like, we hate to deny it, but women fucking simp like a lot. So an individual, a simp is an individual, not a man, and a simp is an individual. A nice guy, a nice dude, a nice she, a nice person is an individual, and a good person. Now, it's important for good people, or any person, even if you're a terrible person, to know your own, I won't say know your own self-worth, to have your own limits. Yes, to have your own lines. That, like, there are different lines. I think lines are important. They might not be clearly defined. They might be a case-by-case basis. Like, and you might have to sit down and think about where is your line. But you have to be like, this is where I'm not going to take rubbish and nonsense. This is the amount of what they call it, the amount of situation I'm willing to compromise. This is the limit of my level of compromise. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the word I'm looking for. And so that's the line. The line of simping. I knew this was going to be short, because I think everybody, the line of simping is when you let somebody cross your own predetermined lines, or when you keep moving these said lines. Because if it's a line you can move, then it is not a line, it is not a border, it's just a string. It's not even a string, it's just some run. It is not truly the line, it is not your principle or your morals or anything, it's just random shit you came up with. If somebody can move it so many times. So a simp is a dude or a woman or a human being who lets somebody they desire their affection continue to cross their limits, continue to make them feel less than, not as well, continue to make them irrationally subservient. And this is not necessary. And again, another reason why this is something we have to look inward, because the manipulative people are everywhere, and somebody might not even be aware that they are being constantly manipulated. Because children, especially very young children, don't, like, for example, try to tell you how manipulation is innate, but it's not a bad thing. It's when you realize that, oh no, I'm taking advantage of this person, I should stop. But it's something that children do have. The same way, like, a child knows that every time they cry, you will come. Like, you come to them, so they start to fake crying because of your attention. Now, a lot of Yoruba parents, like olden grandmothers, were like, at some point you should leave the child to cry for them to understand that, like, to put it in their young skull that sometimes you will not come. That is an easy way to get out the, like, manipulation vibes. I don't know, some societies do not call for that, but for a young mother, you have to learn, like, people, like, to maintain your sanity, at least in the Yoruba context, you have to learn to ignore those cries. But you also need to be aware, like, you should be able to see them, to see that they're not in pain. Let's say you've answered, now this is becoming a baby care lecture, you've answered like 5 of those cries, and you know that every possible thing that could be affecting a baby has been solved. Now, what could they possibly want other than your attention? You're going to have to say no sometimes because you're too busy providing food to be emotionally there. But you need to make sure that you answer sometimes. But that's like putting boundaries of not to be like, but that's just like baby, what's the word? Baby cause and effect. It's not like a real individual that knows to manipulate. Like anybody who tries to purposely intentionally plays mind games, that person is just horrible. I think I don't know where I went off or what I achieved with this, but like, okay, I don't know where I went off to what I achieved with it, but I was just trying to tell how like sometimes we subconsciously manipulate people because our brain are just put together that if I do this, they will do that, and it's not just babies. So what is the line? What you can control? What matters to you? Let's start with optimistic now. What matters to you? This person obviously matters to you. Why do they matter to you? Do you get? Then you now decide that. So either you cut the person out or you can clearly simplify why they matter to you, why you're willing to go through this dangerous length for them, and understand that of course in the grand scheme of things they don't fucking matter, but you chose them to matter to you, so you have to be responsible for them. Now what can you control? You cannot control the other person's actions, but you can control your reaction to them. And this is a society. Some people have chosen to manipulate their way into things, and some people have chosen, but it is important that you live in this society with them. Let's think of it as a society of two of you. You live in this society with them, but even though you want this society to succeed, I'm saying relationship in the context of society, you want this society to succeed, it will fall apart if there is no balance. That's all I have to say about simping, I guess. This makes sense. The next segment is about when does it become hypocritical. I think this is the first one that this is like distinct segments, like under one umbrella topic. The next segment is when does it become hypocritical? When does it become hypocritical? When does it become hypocritical? They're repeating stuff because like her mind has gone off. So like a lot of times, and also not just when does it become hypocritical, when is it now off point? Do you get? Where is the line that it now becomes off point? Because it may not necessarily be hypocritical, it might just be insulting something else that have nothing to do with anything. So we are going to look at two things. When does it become hypocritical and when does it become off point? So examples that I'm looking at are dreadlocks, blackfishing, whitefishing, blackwashing, whitewashing, and race bending. I'm like, how do I put it? Let's start with race bending in art. Like just changing a character to black. Wouldn't it be cooler if it was black? If this was this, just randomly just create like I really do not like the idea of a black Little Mermaid because I know the prince is going to be white. I don't like the idea. I think it takes away from the fact that this story was sold hundreds of years to teach European children. I don't like, for example, I was like, what is Guinevere doing in Merlin? Like the thing is, as much as we don't want, I don't know, because I'm an outsider and I live in an African country, and obviously you want to have like stories with our relationship with foreigners to understand and everything, and America is a diverse country and everything, but I don't want the struggle for whatever to become hypocritical. And I'm like, you can see like in my beauty discussion, you can see that I'm really scared of being seen as a hypocrite rather than doing hypocritical things. Like I don't do hypocritical things, but when I'm in a situation where I cannot explain my choices and I'm worried that it will look hypocritical, that is my biggest fear. Like if I don't properly explain my choices, that is my big fear. Oh my god, if I find myself not properly explaining my choices. But where was I? When does it become hypocritical? So they were talking about what were they talking about? They were talking about art, like race bending in art, and it was mostly about, and I was saying that how I didn't like the idea of Little Mermaid, and I was like, why on earth was Guinevere mixed race in the medieval fantasy whatever? Like, to be honest, a lot of people are like, well, it was thirst. Like, if something is fantasy, it's fantasy. You can do whatever the fuck you want to fantasy. If you like put black people in like medieval Europe, even though like there's a reason why it's fantasy, but like it's when like somebody was having a real conversation about blackfishing and how it takes away from original black characters, and how somebody spends so much time drawing like a black Powerpuff Girl or a black something, like, even though this work was never meant to like identify or ostracize, like identify you, and maybe it's like signaled you like as an other or separated you by not representing you in media. When you're trying to explain valid points, yes, I think I finally got to what I've been trying to explain. When you are trying to explain valid points, you find yourself attracting disgusting, horrible people supporting you. I now seem as if you are one of them, and that is the horror, because you're literally trying to explain what is problematic about a situation, and what you attract are crazy racists. Like under a post where somebody was explaining like why drawing a random white character as black or a random Asian character as black is not only disrespectful to the artist, it's hypocritical, and what's the word? It takes away from original black characters and growing original black characters that are really in spaces that are going to be the star of the whole show. It takes away from that. Then what else? Guess what the comment was filled with? The comment was filled with how how black people are ugly, that how even if they are in fucking anime, like, oh my god, ew, like what are black people doing in anime? Like, it wasn't like, even though this was a video talking about real problematic issues, it just turned into a circle jerk of horrible assholes. Like, yeah, there were a few comments of people understanding that, okay, like, I get it now, race bending of whatever is wrong. And even if you're going to race bend, change the settings, make it a completely different art that is in homage to the original art. And you need to understand that just because, like, it's the same thing with beauty, just because somebody has experienced privilege and opportunity and whatever, that doesn't give you the right to do what they have. To this, how I put it, that doesn't, in a sense, if we try to move forward, because I won't say that doesn't give you the rights. Human beings don't give a shit about rights. So, like, who is going to patrol you now that does? Because didn't they do it and succeed? So I think that doesn't give you the rights is not the correct something. Is that in the kind of society we are trying to move, in the kind of society we are trying to build, one should not just try and repeat something to the descendants of people who have enjoyed, the descendants of people who implemented or who are currently enjoying the fruits of whatever horrible thing. If we are trying to move forward as a society, repeating history's mistakes are not the way to go. It's not the way to bring equity. It's not the way to bring balance. Repeating history's mistake, that's the whole thing. Like, repeating history's mistake doesn't, even if the what's the word? The what do you call it? Even if the antagonists are changing to the defeated side, it won't further the cause for our more equal and more sustainable human civilization. That's the reason why I didn't want to use it. Doesn't give you the rights, because nobody had fucking rights to go and kidnap people. Nobody had fucking rights to do Jim Crow stuff. Nobody, but like, you did it anyway. So you don't have the right is not the correct term. In the kind of society we want to build, you should not do that, because human beings do whatever the fuck they want. So where was I about? Yeah. This is also ties into beauty. Black fishing and white fishing. We cannot judge white people for tanning or plumping up their lips because it is a beauty standard at present. We cannot judge them when we have women on our end bleaching the fuck out of themselves, like using irresponsible amounts of Seppi White and Snow White and Jesus Christ stuff. Jesus Christ. We cannot judge somebody for tan because that is a beauty standard. It is not a racism thing. It is not a you're trying to steal black bodies. It's because black bodies are currently like, or this I won't say black bodies because black women come in all shapes and sizes. I would say a hip hop video's idea of a black woman's body is now becoming the beauty standard. I would say worldwide because Asia is very anti-dark skin, still very anti-big booty. So I won't say that is like the opportunity that is becoming the worldwide standard, but like it's becoming a mainstream standard, and people are pressured into fitting into beauty standard, meaning their tan that they just wanted to look like about like moving forward is not like look like they go on vacation is now looking darker than ever. Then women, so like in the end you have like a world in which people are the same fucking in which Asians are really white for now and everybody else is the same 2-3 shades. You get, so you can't even tell everybody's race because we all like black women are getting the Caucasian nose, white women are getting full lips. They now look like the same fucking person because I think women generally have the same face shape, in my own opinion, like the same like range of face shapes. It's men that like their head shapes are wildly different and you can tell like a Caucasian head, but like women head shapes are generally like around like I don't know generally similar. So like with black women getting like straight nose and white women getting full lips, in the end everybody will look like, people will lose their uniqueness and their individuality, which, remember in Ubuntu, yes, I should notice the similarities, yes, I should understand that I am me because you are you, but I am me is separate from you, me is separate from you. Our similarities do not take away from our individuality, but our similarities should hold us together but not drown out our individuality. It should make us love each other, not be each other. Fun. So I think that's all I have to say about that one. Okay, yes. If this was about hypocrisy and we talked about like the beauty tie-in, the breast bending tie-in, it becomes hypocritical when you don't look inwards. So I think, and again, people need to understand about media management. It makes people, like, a lot of times I forget things I've other listening. I because of Ubuntu, I mean because of you, we always like to tout that we are individual. Like I'm about to do it right now, but we assume that other people think like us. Like if we think it, we think other people are thinking it. Even though most of the time it is right, but also at the times when it is not right. What about the times when people are not thinking exactly like us? That's why, like, even though like we all follow like one specific, that's why we all follow, like we all subconsciously agree to its beauty standard, even whether or not you brought it up or not, we all subconsciously agree to it. But like, what's the word? There's room for individual modifications to it, based on difference of experience and compilation issues and whatever. So the assumption that if you are thinking about it, everybody must think this way is right and wrong. Because sometimes everybody is truly thinking that way and sometimes they're not. So how does this tie into hypocrisy? I don't think I've like hit my initial point home. It becomes, the line is when you try to repeat things that were done to you or to your ancestors, thinking that it will balance things out. It will not. It never will, and humanity will not move forward if we continue to have that method of thinking. If we continue to repeat, and again, to be honest, humanity has kind of moved forward, but like a lot of times we'll be like, oh well, we repeated our stupidity and see how far we've come. It's like the thing is that we actually have not, Like, we've made tiny increments of completely extracting stupidity in different societies, and those are the societies that move forward. But like the stupidities that don't affect us, we just leave them there until like they come to seriously bite us in the ass. Then we're like, we should do something about it. So I think this answers the question. It becomes hypocritical when you try to repeat the mistakes of the past with different antagonists. Next segment. This is another important topic. Where is the line between self-hatred and trying to improve your society? I think this really applies to like us as Africans, and I think it applies to Asians. I don't know, maybe it's starting to apply to like people in the Western world, like people native to the European subcontinent, the European side of Eurasia. So like, I know it relates to every human being. Where does hatred of oneself, because you are like, I think other than the main human society, there are sub-societies you belong to. Like, I am a Negro, a person of African descent. I am Nigerian, so I belong to the Black society. There are some problems that I'll be in that I'll have in that Venn diagram. In a sub-society of that, I am Nigerian. In another sub-society of that, I am Yoruba. In another sub-society of that, I am middle class in a third world country. In another society that has nothing to do with those two, but interlaps, I am a woman. Oh God, I can't believe I'm like a real woman and not a girl. Woman, like a freaking, oh my God, I'm going to be 23 in a month, so like being a woman is really freaking me out. I am a woman. That thing is still funny. And I belong to different societies, so a sense of self, I have a different sense of self that all overlaps, like different experiences as different things in different societies that overlap to create like my mindset. So like, yep, you can be part of so many societies made of so many different things and so many different people. So let's talk about the self-hatred. The self-hatred can be talking about yourself individually or your society. Now, in this, we are going to look at it in the lens of being a woman and being Black and being African and being human. I would say human means we haven't met aliens yet, so I don't know. And being as an individual. Yes. What is the line between self-hatred and saying it like it is? This is a very blurry line, and I think this is the perfect time. This will be a topic because this is going to be the perfect segue to go into blurred lines. Blurred lines will consist of this topic and did I just sing that all the time? Will consist of this topic and jealousy when we're talking about blurred lines. But like, let me try and give like a line, so to speak, about this. Where is the line between self-hatred and saying it like it is? Because it's not like those two cannot coexist. How do I put it? Recognizing that something is evil happens to both people. Happens to people who hate yourself and people who are just saying it like it is. Like, for example, if you are just saying it like it is, if you are truly saying it like it is, you won't use it. You won't use it to apply to yourself. Yes, that's the key thing. You separate yourself from society in a good way. Should I tell you how there's a good way and bad way, in my opinion? So all this stuff is my opinion. In my opinion, in a bad way is when you try and lie to yourself that I am not one of these people. I'm not like the others. I'm separate and unique and special. So people in the other group, whether you're a pick-me girl or a pick-me woman or I'm not like the other Black people, or I'm not like the other Nigerians, or I'm not like the other Africans. I'm somehow unique. I think I have a problem in general with the idea of uniqueness. It's not a crime to be average and normal now. Like, being basic isn't a crime, It's like, it's just not a crime. So it's important that you decide that, okay, this is where I'm going to, this is what I want to do. Like, your goals have to be clear. Like, a lot of times when I see people being like exhibiting self-hatred, their motivations are a mess. That's literally what I'm going to say. Their motivations are a total fucking mess. They don't understand, like okay, how like describe it as a mess? That's a horrible thing to just minimize somebody's suffering and somebody's conclusions. Like, people come to weird conclusions when they don't have like all the information, and I think I'm going to have to go through this again because my thoughts are not properly organized on this matter. But like, what is the line between self-hatred and saying like it is? Saying like it is makes you understand that there is a problem in our society. We have a problem in this society, and when you say it like it is, you most likely do not participate in that problem. Yeah. Oftentimes, this is a stereotype waiting to happen, and this is me not respecting the fact that people are individuals. It's so easy to just generalize, man. But oftentimes, as I go on my generalization, people who experience self-hatred try to use it as an excuse for their behavior, or an excuse for their behavior, and that behavior can be two things. Either they are personally implementing those things, or they are trying to use it as or when they are not doing those things that they supposedly hate, when they're not doing it, they're using it as they're using it as the banner that I am different. They're using it as they're different because they don't do that sort of thing. Yeah, that's basically the key thing. They're using it as, we don't do that, I don't do that sort of thing, that's why I'm different, that's why I'm special. Or they use it as a crutch. They use it as a crutch to say that, yeah, they use it as a crutch to say that this is why I'm doing this kind of thing. My people do this kind of thing. Like, women are just there, like, I'm being a horrible person because it's normal for women to be manipulative, or I'm being a horrible person because black people and Nigerians are horrible people by nature. Or it's be like, I don't do this horrible thing because I am not like the others. So in the end, that is basically my definition of the line between self-hatred and saying it like it is. Because a person who is truly saying like it is won't be participating in it, won't be using it as an excuse for anything or as a crutch to hold on to as a defining factor of their uniqueness. That is my line. But where is the line between self-hatred and saying it like it is? And somebody who is saying it like it is not going to generalize. It's not going to say it as if people are either incapable of change or assessed from birth. It's not going to say it as though people are not products of their environment. And even then, even if somebody was born, like, you can always see that it's a product of maybe mother's alcohol and drug consumption. But even then, with modern medicine, we've tried to fix those people. And if they cannot be fixed, they are an anomaly, and it's not the norm. So everyone, I still believe nurture over nature. So yep. And people often think that, oh, it's just your parents that nurture you. Nope, the entire society, including the random dude on the road, that dude's part of your nurturers. So I think that's all I have to say about the line between self. I'm probably going to sit down and think about it, because this feels like something that I can dig into for a very long time and properly decide on. So bye. So this segment is about blurred lines. Let's not, like, the other time I was talking about how people are, what's the word, self-hatred and things like it is. A lot of the things that people who experience self-hatred, they are saying the truth, but the key distinction is that they're using it as a crutch, and they are not understanding the fact that they're not individualizing the people who do these things. They're just blindly putting people into a group. They don't have all the information, and they've chosen to act like they do. And so that's like why I didn't increase. But like a blurred line, and another example of a blurred line, this is basically like the outro, and I'm ending with like blurred lines that I can sing. Okay, I can actually sing, but like I wasn't prepared. So like another thing was like jealousy. Another thing is jealousy. Another thing is like jealousy in the sense that you truly are genuinely worried. Everything you're saying is true. That's the same thing with self-hatred thing. It really applies to self. Like every single thing you are saying is true. This is a disadvantage, but in a kind of way you want to be like that. So this almost negates. It doesn't negate it. But in the words of the people you are trying to convince, it almost negates it, because it's obvious you want to be like this. That is the key distinction between a hater and somebody who's worried about you, or somebody who wants to call you out. A distinction between a hater and somebody who wants to call you out is that line of jealousy, because they are always saying the same thing. They are saying the truth. They are saying because every single thing has like a disadvantage. So someone who wants to call you out is saying the actual disadvantages, the damage it does to society. But a hater, what distincts somebody who truly... A hater doesn't care about your well-being. Even somebody who wants to call you out doesn't care about your well-being. But a hater genuinely cares about your downfall. Yeah, I've gotten the word. Like, a hater wants your downfall. Someone wants to call you out and worried about the effect of your actions on society, on their children, and is truly worried, is somebody who doesn't care about your success, doesn't care about your downfall. Now, haters in my opinion come in different shades. Some hate you. They hate the idea that you exist. They hate the idea that you are happy. They hate the idea that people like you are happy. Yeah, they hate that idea. Then another kind of hater where they are jealous and want to be you. That's another kind of hater. But in a sense, they both say the truth, and that's the blurred line. You can honestly want to call somebody out, honestly, but because there's like a 1% part of you that wants to be like that, you lose credibility, even though what you're saying is completely true. This is another reason why I'm freaked about like being like looking like a hypocrite, because I try as much as possible to not do hypocritical things. I will not. And if I do hypocritical things, I want to be able to be like, yes, I was a hypocrite, I apologize. So it's like my biggest qualms, because I feel like, yeah, praise me now. I have been able to reduce the amount of hypocritical things I do. So my biggest problem now is like when I don't have opportunity to properly explain myself, I look hypocritical. And it's with my skincare stuff. I think I said that in the beginning. It's with my skincare stuff. So like, I don't want to look, but I'm not going to buy Seppi White. I will continue with maybe I might add Arbutin, but I will not add those Giga Seppi Snow Whites. Jesus Christ, really creepy. And I don't know the right like percentages for them, so no, I'm not going to add any MSHs. We'll continue with Arbutin or hydroquinone and pray for no rebound hyperpigmentation. So like, yeah, where was I? Where did this singing come from? Yeah, so that is the blurred line aspect. What do I want to continue with? I want to like get out of my routine, improve myself, finish my Coursera courses. Like, I literally did 13 courses in 2 months, and it has been 3 months and I haven't done shit. I hope all my courses don't cancel. So where was I hope this doesn't seem like I'm trying to extend it, because I actually want... Oh yeah, what I wanted to add was always, what's the word? Define your own lines. I think this is something I'm telling myself, and I want to tell everybody to properly define your own lines. These were like, I think like just 4 examples of like situations, but like what I'm driving at is define your own line and find out why you chose those lines, then stick to them. And if you make a decision, you don't just make a spontaneous decision to break your what do you call it, your walls, your barriers, your border. You don't just wake up one morning and be like, I'm breaking it. No, you don't. You decide that this is what you are going to do, and you have to give yourself a reason for this, like, case by case difference. Is that all I wanted to add? So, like, I think that's all. And this is Dayo, and thank you for listening to A Personal Code of Conduct. Bye.